Being a musician is as much a psychological activity as it is practical. And I think when you're trying to work in the professional arena, or if that's what you're aspiring to do, it's very likely that at some point you will, even if you don't think that this is something that you struggle with too much at the moment, there are going to be times when you end up feeling things known as the Dunning Kruger effect or imposter syndrome. So, I mean, what is that how's that gonna manifest itself? Well, imposter syndrome, I think, is something where I think it is very common. If you find yourself in a situation where you feel like you are underqualified for it, so you find yourself on a gig which you're really pleased to be doing. You're like, yeah, this is an amazing gig. I'm playing with some great players. And this is going in the right direction for my career. You might find yourself running into that psychological state of thinking, well, hang on a minute, how come I've been booked? Obviously, I'm just not up to the standard of these other guys and girls that I'm working with. And it can sort of eat away at you and make you feel really bad and uncomfortable about the situation. The first thing to say is this is incredibly normal, so don't feel like you are the only person who ever feels this way, because it's very, very common. What you have to do is you have to think about how you've been booked there because the people who booked you think that you are able to do the job well enough, even if you don't think it's as great as maybe what you're aiming for, but you can do the job well enough. So trust the judgment of the people you're around. I remember when I was at Guildhall years ago, the late great Ian Carr recounted a similar story about when he booked a musician who was really unhappy about the way that he was individually playing, and Ian Carr said to him, look, just because you don't think you're any good, it doesn't mean that I'm no good. And what he meant by that was, I've deemed you good enough to play in my band, so don't you making a value judgment about the fact that you don't think you should be there, you're judging my judgment, as it were. So trust the people around you. If they want you there, then you're the right person for the job. So Dunning Kruger effect. This is the one where the more specialised knowledge you have on a subject, the less you realise you know. The flip side of that is if you have limited knowledge in a specialised subject, you maybe believe that you are more qualified for that subject than you actually are. So again, be aware that this is a very common thing to feel as you become more advanced. If the more you learn about playing the guitar or playing music or whatever it is, you will have times where you just think, oh my goodness, I didn't realise that I had so much more to learn. What you have to do is embrace the process and embrace the journey. So yeah, a couple of psychological barriers that you may run into in your development. These are some of the ways that you should maybe approach them.